Long live the heroic comrades in the field force raised to the ranks of the People's Liberation Army. Long live the struggle. Death to neocolonialism, racism, and fascism in the Gambia. Death to capitalism and bold imperialism. Down with the Jawara administration, the public enemy. Victories for the Gambian revolutionary struggle. Victories for the oppressed people of the Gambia. Honor to the people. Glory to the people. Comrades in the struggle, fellow Gambians. Comrades, why the need for a revolution in the Gambia? Fellow Gambians, this is no magical question which is unanswerable. The only scientific response is that the expropriated masses have no other prospect of acquiring property than the revolutionary establishment of the social ownership of means of production. Who is to lead the revolution, comrades? The dictatorship of the proletariat and the leadership of a Marxist-Leninist party to be organized are indispensable conditions for the triumph of the socialist revolution and the building of a people's socialist society. From where will support come from? The Supreme Council of the Revolution regards it as its duty to call on the people to rally, muster all internal forces, take vigorous action and drowning on the might of the world socialist system, forestall or firmly repel imperialist interference in the affairs of the people of any country risen in revolt, and thereby prevent imperialist export of counter-revolution. Fellow Gambians, this has been a very important year in Gambian history. Basically, every section of the country has expressed opposition and anger at the sellout neo-colonial policies followed by the government of Gambia's comprado bourgeoisie under DK Jawara, PPP, the tribal organization of the Jawara clique. Afraid of this great show of strength and unity by Gambians, this corrupt class of thieves has desperately tried to continue their neo-colonial policies and robbery by unleashing terror in many areas and sections of the country. This is also necessary to silence the growing opposition and frighten us Gambians, much like fascist Wasta in South Africa does, to frighten our brothers there. Despite all those attempts to silence Wati Gambians in their struggle, the revolutionary struggle has strongly broken out by purging itself of its Shaitan fox, opportunistic, and reactionary leadership. If ever there was a period of rejoicing, this is the moment. Every heart in union with the freedom and happiness of the people ought to beat high with exaltation that the name of Gambia from this day ceases to give a currency to political iniquity and to legalize corruption. Comrades, a new era is now opening upon us. An era which promises much to the people, for public measures must now stand upon their own merit. And nefarious projects can no longer be supported by a name. When a retrospect is taken of the Jawara administration for 18 years, it is a subject of the greatest astonishment that a single individual should have so conquered the principles of peace, democracy, and justice in an enlightened people that emerged from the gulf of despotism and should have carried his duties designed against the public liberty so far as to have put in jeopardy its very existence. Such, however, are the facts, and these staring us in the face this day ought to be a jubilee in the Gambia. The great force that has just broken the shock of the periodic assault on freedom from within Gambian life has been the civil liberties tradition, the historical commitment of Gambians to the public protection of the freedom of the individual person. It should go deep into the history of Gambian thought and attitude. The Jawara's government has kept us in a perpetual state of fear, kept us in a continuous stampede of patriotic fervor, with the cry of a grave national emergency. Always there has been some terrible evil at home or some monstrous foreign power that was doubling up if we did not blindly rally behind it by furnishing the exorbitant funds demanded. Yet, in retrospect, these disasters seem never to have happened, seem never to have become quite real. The National Revolutionary Redressing Committee hereby wishes to make a statement on why the need for a revolution in the Gambia in making analysis on the rapidly worsening economic situation, the dangerously heightening tensions, and the panic-striking behavior of the authorities of the Jawara administration. Our effort is to provide a better political alternative to the present political social stagnation that our dear country has been plunged into by her stone-hearted leadership. Gambia is in a very nasty state. Thousands of our hard-working and long-suffered citizens continue to be the object of the most wicked exploitation that our nation has ever seen. It is the chaste wish of every Gambian, irrespective of tribe, religion, or region, to liquidate the economic delinquents and social parasites now arrogantly basking in the national fortune. The Jawara administration is the upholder of nepotism, favoritism, tribalism, corruption, and a legion of devised social bases, all frigidly inimical to economic take-off, political stability, and social progress. The chaotic nature of the Gambian economy, with its rocketing prices, massive necessity, chronic shortages, near bankrupt finance mafia-like commerce, mismanaged agriculture, social unrest, and abject poverty are all sapping the vitality of this young nation. Corruption and squandering of public funds has become the only thought that the heartless and unpatriotic bureaucrats adhere to. The worsening qualities of medical and health facilities in the urban areas and non-existence in the rural areas have sadly increased the death rate among the masses of the Gambian people. Unemployment remains one of the monsters unavoidably leading to an all-time peak in the crime rate. These and related social evils are the backlash of an inefficient PPP administration. It is our duty as what sons of the Gambia to work for the defeat of Jawara and the imperialist bourgeoisie of our country. Comrades in the struggle, fellow natives of the Gambia, answer the clarion call of national emancipation. Join us and fight vigorously for the devastation of the iron law of oligarchy and establish a society based on justice, equality, and fraternity. Comrades, freedom is won. It is not donated. Worthy Gambians abroad and at home, join us in the struggle to erase an imperialist program and policy, from war on poverty to a war against the poor. The launching of a more effective ideological campaign, both inside and outside the country, to expose the true motivation behind the reforms and the street talk would only be a part of the answer. We must also recognize that it would be at rock bottom a battle of interests and not just ideas. It would be a battle in which ideology and public relations activity must express and play on real and vital economic interests of social classes and groups, both inside and outside the country. It is such interests which often inhibit national pride and win progressive comrades to collaborate in the oppression of their brothers or to make no real effort to help end it. It is important that we understand and identify these forces in order to elaborate a correct strategy of struggle. Poor Gambians have not only lost their means of livelihood, but with it their illusion. The people want guaranteed access to food, housing, clothing, jobs, free medical and health care, better roads and traffic control so as to minimize road accidents. They want prices that are both stable and reasonable. They demand the end of corruption and injustice in high offices, a method they simply use to turn the facts topsy-turvy. The people need to be freed from the cruel pangs of blood-sucking landlords. They want the state to spend our money on a more diversified, mechanized, and rewarding agriculture. Our poor brothers and sisters legitimately demand the end of poverty, ignorance, disease, corruption, and injustice. All anti-neo-colonial and imperialist forces in the Gambia and abroad must rally around the National Revolutionary Redressing Committee, known as the Supreme Council of the Revolution, to promote a revolutionary change in the Gambia. Concerning economy, our people need to control all deficit sectors of their economy, which would henceforth the national economy to be conceived and achieved by themselves for their own profit. The reason is that they are the extension of no foreign economy, since they would not be submitted to no particular dictatorship from any economic group, and that would be the fully independent and sovereign character which they will create for the satisfaction of their own needs. Concerning social affairs, the revolution will destroy all bases of inequality, injustice, arbitrary by creating for the new or reborn renascent society a new frame with democratic relations, abolishing regionalism, tribalism, witchcraft, rising all irrational practices to inequality and arbitrary exploitation. Concerning culture, a socialist cultural revolution will be carried out throughout the whole country. Concerning art and sport, the revolution will like the whole world to know and admire our performance. And through a disciplined character, our people will record multiple successes, skills, and competence. On the spiritual field, the revolution will give a national personality and a universal content to our people's religious actions by rising from them every foreign element, every false depreciation, and by giving an orientation to the religious conscience of our sons and daughters, guiding them towards their duty towards the people, humanity, teaching them what they ought to do to better demonstrate nature for the social well-being. As regards our home and foreign policy, we want to conduct our evolution in preserving our country's personality and to safeguard its originality while letting it take advantage of technical, scientific, and cultural contributions from all other nations. In order to enable it to make rapid headway and develop its own institutions. This means that the spirit inspiring our home and foreign policy should not possibly be imported. It would be something of our country's own. Gambia's foreign policy in particular will simply be the true prolongation of our home policy, which will be in the same manner defined by the will and interest of the people, not by the quality of our relations with their government. It may be that those governments in their various activities act in accordance with their own people's interests, or take that they betray those interests. But we, on our part, as revolutionaries, we uphold the interests of the people. All people should know that in our international policies, Gambia will never, under any circumstances, act against their interests. We still maintain normal, friendly relations with our neighboring countries, which we see as an important condition for peace. We also pay a tribute to all freedom fighters in Africa and the world, to all peace-loving forces, to socialist and democratic states, and to peaceful and progressive nations, whom we will follow their examples in the edification of Africa. We reaffirm with vigor our total solidarity with the workers of the world who are fighting for their emancipation, with the fight of women in all continents for social justice, against discrimination and inferiority, which women are still submitted to with the national freedom fights which are being waged by the brotherly peoples of Namibia, South Africa, and Palestine. With the fight of our Afro-American brothers against the racism and segregation they are submitted to. Comrades in the struggle, this broken atomized Dara society couldn't accommodate itself for its atrophy. It produced in its womb an underground cataclysm, which from year to year began to turn more rapidly, ravaging everything, rendering the situation less supportable each day. Enough is enough, no more. Our struggle has put an end to centuries of oppression and exploitation. Our struggle in offering our lives for the liberation of Gambia gave birth to the revolution. The autocratic monarchs and the aristocrats are thrown off their positions of power. The fruit of our labor, our creation, the revolution will not be snatched from us by a dictatorial stepfather under the guise of being the guardian of the revolution. The revolution will not be led, of course. It will not be distorted and will not be made to devour the creators of the revolution themselves, the masses. It is now time to reassert our rights, further the cause of the revolution, and take it by force. And in this historic struggle, the Supreme Council of the Revolution will speak for the masses as well as stand by them. Finally, for a system where exploitation of man by man is abolished, where men are comrades and brothers to one another along the road of people's struggle. By the light of our gallant comrades, let us move forward and crown this democratic revolution. People of Gambia, the Supreme Council of the Revolution, with its brilliant ideas, have, through ferocious struggle, ended the system of the masses swallowing the nonsense meted out of them by the human-eating society in winning a victorious war, raising high the prestige of our country and making the name of Gambia and the Gambians to be honored in the progressive world. Upon decision of the Supreme Council of the Revolution, we solemnly declare the Constitution suspended, the National Assembly dissolved, all financial institutions closed, judiciary powers suspended, all political parties and organizations banned, no political gathering activity exceeding 5 persons allowed, the international airport and seaport and all frontiers closed to entry and exit. A nationwide curfew imposed from 7 to 7, and we strictly warn for curfew breakers for running with and assisting terrorists, not to live for ourselves but for the revolution. Ready and sharpening the spears for the revolution. Long live the revolution!